Before the Great Pyramids of Egypt, before Rome, Greece, or even Babylon, there was Sumer, the birthplace of civilization, the first cities, the first laws, the first great society. But what happens when a civilization that created everything loses it all? This is the story of the oldest civilization in history, and how it really collapsed. The Sumerians emerged in what we now call Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, around 3100 BCE. This land, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, was so fertile that it gave birth to the world's first cities, Uruk, Ur, and Lagash. But Sumer wasn't just a collection of mud brick buildings. It was a thriving culture. They gave us writing, cuneiform. They built vast temples to their gods, the ziggurats. They mastered irrigation, turned barren land into farmland, and created one of the first forms of government. At its peak, Sumer was the most advanced society in the world. They had mathematics, law, literature, and even beer. Yes, the world's first recorded beer recipe comes from Sumer, but with greatness comes conflict. You see, Sumer wasn't a unified empire. It was a collection of city-states, each ruled by a king. And like all kings, they wanted power. Wars over land and resources were common. To make matters worse, their reliance on irrigation had a fatal flaw. Over time, the soil became too salty. Crops failed. Food became scarce. The cracks in their civilization were growing. In the 22nd century BCE, disaster struck. A mysterious barbaric people known as the Gutians came from the east, raiding and pillaging the once great cities of Sumer. The Gutians were fierce, nomadic warriors who took advantage of Sumer's internal weakness. They overthrew the ruling dynasty of Ur, sending the civilization into chaos. For nearly a century, the Gutians ruled over Sumer, bringing an age of darkness. Trade collapsed. Infrastruktur decayed. The knowledge and wisdom of centuries seemed doomed to be lost forever. But Sumer wasn't dead yet. Around 2100 BCE, a new ruler emerged, Ur-Nammu. He reclaimed Sumer from the Gutians and re-established order. His dynasty, the third dynasty of Ur, ushered in a brief renaissance. Laws were codified, temples restored, and for a time, it seemed as if Sumer would rise again. But fate had other plans. By the 2000s BCE, a series of disasters sealed Sumer's fate. A massive drought swept across Mesopotamia, crippling agriculture. The irrigation problem only worsened. Without food, people fled their cities. And then came the invaders. The Elamites from the east and the Amorites from the west both saw an opportunity. They invaded, plundering what was left of the once great Sumerian civilization. By 1750 BCE, the last traces of Sumer were swallowed by the rise of a new power, Babylon. But while Sumer itself disappeared, its influence never did. The Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Persians, even the Greeks and Romans, all built upon the foundations that the Sumerians laid down. Writing, law, astronomy, irrigation, the very concept of civilization itself, these all trace back to Sumer. Their cities may be ruins, but their legacy lives on in every law we write, every number we count, and every beer we drink. Sumer was the first, but it was not the last. Time and time again, great civilizations have risen and fallen. Egypt, Rome, the Maya. So, what can we learn from Sumer's fall? That no civilization, no matter how powerful, is immune to collapse. And as we look at our own world today, we must ask, are we making the same mistakes?